Alright, this video will be in response to your question. Yeah, also apologize for the camera angle. It might be pretty shit because this was the best way I could um, hold my phone up. It's leaning on some books right now, so yeah, this isn't the best angle, but it's what I have for now, so I have to deal with that. Okay, we'll just get started then. I'm gonna read the question right now. Okay, the question is, since you mentioned last time after we watched Love Flops that we can never discover our true self, since our mind and our world is made from past experience, and everything that we do has some sort of influence, then would you say that those those who want to be transgender, discovering their true self? If not, then how would you suggest we find our true self? Should we pursue something we are genuinely interested in? Music, arts, sports, career, and should we isolate ourselves or join clubs such as LGBT, business clubs, or social clubs? Do you think we can discover our true self alone, or do you think we need people to tell us, like close friends, to tell us how we act? And or should we pursue something like religion? All right. Let me think about this. You say that those who want to be transgender discovering it. Okay. Should we pursue something we are genuinely interested in? And should we isolate ourselves? Or join clubs? If not, then how would you suggest we find our true self? Those who want to be transgender. I think I'm more on the side of like everything from the past and experiences and actions and everything, all of them collectively build upon what we're gonna do next. I I feel like it's it's something I kind of believe in the back of my mind, but I wouldn't actively believe it because that would mean that everything is predetermined and that I have no control over what I will do next and where I'll end up. And I feel like that is a belief that it it's not helpful in any way. People who believe that then just use the excuse of, yeah, I can't change anything because this was how I was born, this is who I am, and thus I'll have to keep on, I have no control over it, that I'll end up exactly where I'll end up no matter what I do. So I feel like that is not a healthy mindset to have. Although, you know, sometimes I will kind of dwell and think about this a lot, but in no way is it productive, but it is an interesting topic to talk about. We can never, yes, we can never discover our true self because, I mean, when I think about it, all our personality and what we like and dislike, they all come from interactions with the world that we, in a sense, we will have no true self that in a sense that true self doesn't really exist, because what will you think, what will you do if you had no external stimuli, like, because the brain is a learning adapting machine that intakes information to function, right? So if it has no information, I feel like external stimuli and information is vital. You cannot live without it, and that is obvious. We Everything we learn, we do, it's associated with how our brain functions and how it processes these informations and inputs, and delivers an output for us. So in a way, if you fed the brain no information at all, like no input, then it'll have nothing to process. Then you probably wouldn't have a personality or interests and likes, dislikes, stuff like that. So it's kind of a paradox, like in a way that your true self is like maybe like 70 to 80% of your true self is already, you already know that. And the further 20 to 30% that will require more in-depth understanding of your stimuli, your information and influences and biases. So that's gonna require you to just journal, write down a bunch of biases and influences you have and what they came from, why your brain thinks this way. For example, a thought, for example, like if you end up in a bad situation, such as like you accidentally hit someone's car, then one person would respond with, "Oh, I'm glad that no one got hurt in this accident," whilst another person, the second person, will respond with, "Oh, this is terrible. My day is ruined, and yeah, I'm really disappointed. I'm really angry. I'm frustrated," and they start arguing. The second person tries to initiate an argument because of that, but the first person will always hold on to this belief that why don't we just be grateful that no one got injured from this terrible accident. So that those two people, we can learn that they had different childhoods, they had different influences, biases, and the first person, their past experiences allowed them to learn that they need a more optimistic um, optimistic um, what's the word, like outlook on certain situations, while the second person, from all those influences, they learned that they they don't really know this like consciously. They don't yet think like, oh yeah, because of these, it's just in the subconscious where it just happens, and they don't really realize it. And in the subconscious, that it tells them, yeah, you should have a negative outlook on these events. Yeah, and also um I believe that you, under similar circumstances as someone else, as the under exact circumstances, person one, if person one lived exactly like how person two lived, in their entire life exact, then person one would have a negative outlook, because there's no reason for his brain to input compute this input as a positive outlook, a positively. There's just no reason to, because like I said, the brain is a learning machine. It learns from experiences, and if person two's history was always of negative to view these events as negative, entirely negative, then why would they view it positively for this time? Like, why would they do that? It just wouldn't work because the brain would keep on just reviewing the past experiences. It takes the information from the past experiences and then uses it to influence the future experiences and current experiences. Then would you say describing find out true self from the past experience and everything, then we do have some sort of how I would suggest finding our true self, filling up that 20 to 30% that is lies in the subconscious, or even I'm probably um uh underestimating it a lot, but yeah, the majority of things go on in your subconscious and unconscious mind. Like, for example, there was a video I saw where you really aren't real, kind of thing. Like, you yourself aren't real. It's just that, for example, what you like, what you dislike, what your interests are, they aren't really yourself. They just happen because you can't control that. You either like something or you dislike something. We always have preferences. So yeah, so it's probably about like 50 to 60%. Well, yeah, I don't know any studies really, but it's probably a lot that we don't know about ourselves. And I think it is important to hold that belief that we don't know a lot about ourselves in order for us to actually learn more about ourselves. Like, yeah, if you think you already know a lot about yourself, then you're not gonna learn much because you won't be inclined to, you know, try and actually um, do the work, do the deep thinking and journaling and writing to find out more about who you actually are. So, yeah, that's a suggestion for a way to find our true self. So, just, I feel like, yeah, since our lives are so, it's almost impossible in the modern day to actually, like, be not under any influence. That is entirely impossible, but the best thing you can do is to step away from any influence that you have from such as social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just any influence, people. You just have to spend some days alone, entirely alone, without anything, and just deeply think about, where your beliefs. You have to always. I always. I've recently started, actually. I recently started doing this, just reviewing your beliefs, like every week or so. Review exactly why you believe these, where, who, and what information influenced you to believe this, and your habits, who influenced those, your thoughts, what you do. It's important to do this because once you start doing this, you realize that you are actually, that almost nothing of yours is actually original. You don't really have that many original thoughts after you actually think about this. It all came from someone else who was influenced by someone else, and it keeps on going. It's very rare you have an actually original thought. Yes, so this practice is not it no barely anyone does it. Honestly, like almost none of the people I know do this. But I think it is very vital and crucial because the majority don't do it. That's why the majority are almost like under the influence that, and also they don't know that they are, and continue doing these, like, for example, bad habits that modern society pushes forward. But for me, I've tried to stop, and I have stopped a lot of my bad habits compared to myself last year or the year before, because only because I've started to question my habits and beliefs. It's only because I've done that I realized, oh yes, these habits are pushed forward by modern society. And why is modern society bad? Because I look through sources, I look through people, I was look through information, how modern society, what they push forward, isn't healthy for anyone who lives in these times. But if I never reviewed my beliefs, never questioned it, then I would have remained stuck. I would have remained doing them without knowing they are bad. And that is the worst thing that can happen. Like, you not realizing that your problems are bad means that you're going to continue doing them without guilt, without shame, and just, you know, when are you going to stop? But you don't know that you have to stop. It will just, it's an insidious process where one day you'll realize something, that life's all gone wrong, and then by then it might have been too late. I don't like thinking that things are too late sometimes, but sometimes things can get to the point of almost no return. And yeah, that is very, very sad to see when people people's lives happen to turn out like that. And also the practice of questioning your beliefs. You're not gonna Why would you start practicing that if you it's kind of a weird paradox, like, thinking about this, because, like, it's really easy in the modern day to just stay stuck with these bad habits. The majority, like 99.9% of people, don't do good habits and remain stuck in the bad habits. It's so easy. It is just because staying stuck in there, you are constantly reinforced. Positive reinforcement happens when you put a bunch of people and they reinforce each other of their bad habits, and kind of makes it even harder and harder, and no one else realizes, so then everyone else doesn't realize, and then the person inside will not realize either, because no one's truly, like, told them about anything else. They don't believe that good habits even exist. It's just, I'm really grateful that I've been able to find out about this, find about self-improvement and the good habits, and the years I've been stuck with doing the bad habits. I remember back then that I would never even realize that self-improvement existed. Like, anyways, that was a bit of a tangent, so let me get back to the point. Should we pursue something we are genuinely interested in, and should we isolate ourselves? Pursue something we are genuinely interested in. By that, I interpret it as pursuing our passions, I've heard many perspectives on this. This is still a topic I'm still learning a lot about, and I will need to continue developing my beliefs about this and questioning them. But at this moment, I think that we should, in this modern age, I feel like with the access of the internet has given us so much opportunity to scale, to reach out to millions of people that we could not have done before. Like imagine back when the internet didn't exist, the most you could do from a startup business was the few uh, the few people that live on your street. That's the most you can reach out to. And even with that, that takes physical effort. That takes up setting up a stand and all those resources to set up a stand. Like, and it isn't even guaranteed that the people walk past there first of all and buys. It would have been incredibly hard back then, and only you could have only really pursued your passions if you had a lot of money to start up with, because then you could franchise out and set up these stores all over the country and everything. So back then it was incredibly hard, and with the internet now, anyone can. Like literally anyone can. You don't even have to show your face. You could literally develop a business online for like less than $20. Or like creating a website now, you don't even need to learn code. You could literally, there are hundreds of websites out there that make it so easy to design a website where you're practically dragging on things like it's PowerPoint or whatever. So yeah, today it's incredibly easier, way easier than before. So yeah, that is my opinion. I think that we should pursue our passions because the internet, first of all, makes it a lot easier, and it is actually profitable because you share your passion on something on the internet, chances are millions of other people have the same passion. You can see that on YouTube easily with people doing music, doing art, all sorts of things. That's their passion, and they shared it on the internet. And other millions of people with the same passion come together to, share and discuss their passions as well. So, yeah, but back then, I would imagine no one really cared. Like, why would someone care about, like, your passion? If you're only reaching out to, like, a few people down the street, then chances are that none of them share your passion. Like, maybe one if you're lucky, but you can't really make money off one person. You can't make a living off one person. But now people are on the internet desperately and constantly searching to, you know, talk about their passions in any way. You see that on forums online like Reddit, Discord servers, you see that on any communities, on social media. Everyone's trying to talk about their passions, discuss, and just develop and evolve that passion into something greater. Everyone's looking for the inspiration online for their passions as well. So I think that's why it is a very profitable business in the modern day now. However, I have heard of perspectives where it's like you gotta work hard on a job you dislike because you it doesn't matter whether you like or dislike your job. It is your job and you must do it. To be, a man, you have to like work hard and on your job, even if you dislike it, and most likely you're gonna dislike it. And that yeah, I've heard that pursuing your passion, that line, is seen as selfish because chances are sometimes that your passion isn't going to be profitable. And I kind of do agree with that statement sometimes. it may not be profitable, and you may have to return back to a normal job, a normal lifestyle, a 9 to 5, perhaps some period in your life, because it's not about you. If you're pursuing your passion, that kind of means that you are putting yourself before the needs of your family, your parents, your kids. You have the responsibility once you're an adult to earn money, to provide. As a man, especially, you must provide. So, in a way, pursuing your passion might seem selfish if it isn't profitable. But this is a not, I'm like around 70% sure right now of my belief on this. I do think there is a point in, you know, not putting yourself before the needs of your family because you do have that responsibility. And it's kind of really hard because perhaps you're like 2 to 3 years into a business of your passion and it isn't profitable right now. And also you're battling that, hard decision to just return to a 9 to 5 and give it up because you have that pressure of the responsibility to provide and make money. And currently, since your business isn't doing that, then it seems like you are being selfish if you're continuing that. And this isn't anyone's fault, but during that time, perhaps like your family aren't very supportive either because, you know, they do expect you to make money and provide. However, you are working towards that, but currently it's just not showing, and that does create a lack of motivation and belief from your family, friends, and yourself. But I'll return to this probably maybe a few weeks or months after I've actually done some deep writing and thinking about this. And it's always biased from different people's point of view. From the people who do succeed in their passions, they're gonna say, yeah, pursue your passions. It's like gonna be all, you know it's gonna be a profitable business and something you like. And the arguments of like, yeah, if you like something, you're gonna find a way to make it monetize. You're gonna find a way to keep doing that. You're gonna find the way to provide with that, to provide for your family, to just make it successful. And then on the other hand, the people who don't succeed in that, they see you who try and pursue yours as selfish because you're not fulfilling those responsibilities. Anyways, I'll go on to the next topic. I went on that for quite a while. Should we isolate ourselves? This topic, I think we should isolate ourselves from toxic people, from people who don't share your similar goals, who are dragging you down. I think that if you're not isolating yourself from that, then that's honestly just, what's that word? Like sadist, I think? Let me search it up. Oh, no, wait, that is I think it's masochist. Yeah, it might seem this word is kind of vulgar, but you kind of gain pleasure from your own pain and humiliation. Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. My point is. So, if you're continuing to hang out and spend your time with people who don't believe in you, who mock your dreams and your goals, then it does seem a bit weird because you're just putting yourself deliberately in humiliation, in pain, in, yeah, those negative feelings. Why would you do that to yourself? Yeah, so I think isolating isolation time is important for when you have to essentially disband from a group you might have connected for many years, because simply it just, you've got separate ambitions now, you have separate goals, and everyone walks their own walk of life after. And I won't get into it too much right now, but that is a very hard and one that I'm not very good at either. That action initiative to leave, like sort of permanently, is something that is intimidating to do. It is kind of awkward sometimes. For me personally, I haven't exactly left permanently, but I essentially spend like zero time with those types of friends that I had. It kind of happened naturally because simply I had no similar common interests as them, such as playing games. I used to do that a lot, but now don't really do that. And these people, some you might see as they can change, but they simply just are influenced so much by their environment, they don't realize it. Some are straight up toxic. Those you just don't even want to help. But the ones that you can and try help, try your best. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Then you'll just have to stop wasting energy trying to do that and then continue and do your own things. But, be prompt to reach out a hand whenever they do feel like changing. Don't expect them to suddenly, change and take the advice, like, because they haven't had that similar influence as you. And if you're in their shoes, you'd probably respond the same to the advice. You probably reject it as well. Just like how I imagine my like 3 to 4 years younger self, he wouldn't have cared at all. It'll all come with maturity and realization for themselves. There's a quote I liked, forgot the name, but it was, you cannot teach a man anything. You can only help them to find it within themselves. I do think it is very beneficial to join clubs. In those environments, you'll definitely find people who have the similar interests as you. And it's way easier to make friends from them since you share that common ground already. I think that, you know, beginning to join more clubs and simply going there alone, just not even with your friends. Don't tell your friends about it. Just go and make entirely new friends, because in a way, if you go with a friend, you're gonna most likely stick with them as well. It's gonna be harder. There's more friction towards making new friends because you've had this friend already for like so many years that you connect with deeply and everything. You're It kind of takes away the drive to make new friends. So I just really suggest that if you were to try and join a club, just join it alone. That's what I did for my UQ stuff. My uni stuff, I mean. Like, I joined some sports clubs without really telling my friends because I needed that new environment. I needed that new surrounding with new people. And only by surrounding yourself with new people with new beliefs can you grow, can you learn. Sticking with the same old, you'll remain the same. Do you think we can discover our true self alone, or do you think we need people to tell us, like close friends, to tell us how we act, and or should we also pursue something like religion? I think a bit of both, honestly. People, close friends, sometimes they do know us better than ourselves. Sometimes they see things that we don't really see. Sometimes they can help us a lot within finding our true self. You know, you probably hear the most common phrases like, yeah, you can only discover true self yourself because you know yourself the best. That is true, but there are hidden things, there are things we're kind of blind to ourselves, and only a close friend who really is willing to help you improve can point that out for you. As for things that you need to do alone, this is a very incredibly important as well, as this will probably be where most of your discovery comes from. Spending your time alone, it may seem really daunting because we don't really like to be alone. We aren't meant to be alone as humans, but recently I've found that, well, I kind of have been forced to spend a lot of alone time since I haven't really been socializing with my previous friends. This was during the holidays and everything before uni started. It was hard to kind of, I guess it wasn't really hard, but like I just needed some time alone and I was kind of forced into that as well. So it was kind of perfect for me to really just evaluate my goals and values and ambitions. It was a really big change, and in those months I felt a lot of progress from who I was just last year. And at the start, spending a lot of alone time, you're gonna hate it. It's gonna, this is the time when you realize that you have a lot of thoughts. You might have a lot of negative thoughts as well, and you might be uncomfortable with your thoughts. It's really weird because the modern day, we usually don't even let our thoughts in. We just always on our phones scrolling and scrolling to just distract ourselves. There's so much escapism and um, things that we can use to just distract ourselves from ever letting our brains think. And that's a way that modern day kind of suppresses like our need for change, our need to better ourselves, because they give us all these mental health problems and then they just give us the same devices, the same apps that causes these health problems, but it also helps us escape from them and forget about them. That is really dangerous. That is really just so incredibly bad for you. Like, it is really a tough time where in the modern day it really is like the same, think about it, like the same thing that causes these helps us forget them. So we continually kind of go back and depend on them whilst making it worse and worse. I think about sometimes when I have a bad day, it really gives me the urges to just forget about what had happened in the day by, video games, by scrolling in almost like indefinitely, just draining out all my thoughts because I don't want to think about it. It is uncomfortable to think about these thoughts. And thus, it is relaxing and it's pleasurable to forget about them through these addictions. But it is what we need. We need to think, we need to let our thoughts in. The thoughts are from our brain, our subconscious and unconscious part, that it is telling us desperately for what we need to do. Why do we feel negative when we do negative things, when we do bad habits? There's a reason. If we weren't told by the brain negative thoughts, then we wouldn't change. It is an evolutionary part of our brain. It is necessary for our survival. Think about our ancestors. Back when we needed to survive. We were hunter-gatherers back then. Think about them. Negative thoughts, they were constantly with their own thoughts, and they needed them to survive. If their thoughts were negative, then that means that they needed to change, they needed to adapt, otherwise they would die. If they're positive, that means that they know things are going well, that they're going to survive and thrive. Think about how fucked it would be if the things we did that were bad for us, those never produced negative thoughts for us. It is good that people, this is not going to be said by anyone else. Like, people, they always are like talking about mental health and how you need to fix your depression and stuff through like antidepressants or whatever. The fact is that you kind of need that time to be depressed, to be suicidal. It is good that you feel that way, because if you didn't, then you're not going to change your life. So we now established the importance of our thoughts. We need to listen to them. We need to change according to them. How does that relate to our discovery of our true self then? We gotta journal them down. We gotta keep them. We gotta intensely focus for a few days, few weeks perhaps, where we just minimize all the distractions of the modern day, all these influences, biases, and just listen closely to our thoughts. It is going to be uncomfortable for the first few, minutes, hours, days, but it is necessary. If you really want to know who you are, what you want, the truth is that I probably don't even know. I actually do not know what I truly want in life right now. I know that this, self-improvement journey is a part of it, that doing these good habits will lead me somewhere better than my current and old lifestyle. But I do not fully truly know what I really want, what my purpose is right now. And that will come with years, with time, with experience in life, and with thinking and listening to my thoughts. That will come through that. Otherwise, I'm gonna be constantly living for what other people want you to want. Think about how do companies how do they actually produce money? How they sell through advertising. the advertising is a form of influence. It tells you whether you consciously or unconsciously take it in. It's going to affect you some way. It's going to make you form an opinion that you did not necessarily want to on a product. And their techniques are so good that, in the modern day, they can actually just make you want. They can play on these psychological, techniques and factors that they've got from studies. They have so many, their companies are large. They have many people, many psychologists working on, what is the exact best, like, font, what color draws in the most attention, what retains the most attention, which, all these tiny details, they test them. And it's gone so good in a way that an ad that plays, it's gonna make you want it. It literally makes you want that product because it plays on your fear of missing out, your fear of wanting status, wanting validation. It plays on that. It's kind of dark. It is dark. But that's what they use. How they influence you. That's why don't lie to yourself. You do want, like, fancy cars. You want jewelry. You want to look rich because the modern day has sold us this, that we, I do as well. I really feel that. It's almost like I can't control that. I do feel the urge to, like, to be rich and get so much jewelry, cars, houses, because it plays on the human need to feel validated, to feel wanted, to feel higher status. That part of yourself, that is what it means to be human, but they can do it in this way that gives them the opportunity to sell us, to make money off of us. So I suggest you can start by minimalizing these distractions, these influences. Listen to your thoughts. Gradually, after a few days, few weeks, it is a reversible change. You can change your brain. You're gonna start to think of more of personal ambitions, of your goals, of who you are. You're gonna be constantly battling that question, thinking of solutions to that. Your brain will solve it. And importantly, you'll think less and less of social media, of these influences. It will just be continuously growing in your mind of more of your own thoughts. Because think of it right now, your thoughts are probably make up like around 5% of your brain, and the other 95% would be like, video games, social media, TikTok addiction, whatever these, like, random shit, of constantly distracting and escaping from reality. It's gonna be those types of thoughts, but gradually when you do think more and more, it's gonna, you're gonna have your alone thoughts, your personal, true self thoughts. And that, I feel like it is essential as a first step. I don't know much about it. I'm still trying as well. I'm still learning. But as a first step, that is something I'm very certain on. I'm very certain that it will help you in your journey of discovering your true self. Should we also pursue something like religion? I can make a whole separate video on religion. I do have a very, recently been very educated on this, thanks to my friend as well. He really opened my eyes on religion a lot more than what I currently thought. And, I I, like many other people, the majority of, current modern day society thinks religion just as like, oh yeah, God is real. There is something out there that, we must believe in or we go to hell. But it is much more to that than that. But on the just answering this question right now, should we pursue something like religion? I think you won't be convinced about my answer right now because I'm not gonna go into detail this video, but the short answer is yes, you should pursue something like religion. Religion is important, and religion is gives people the sense of purpose as well. It does help people to find out their true self because religion has been around for far more than these modern day addictions. Religion is not escaping, religion is not distracting yourself, it is facing who you are, improving yourself, and having someone who's out there to give you hope that you can do so, and someone out there who will keep you accountable, who you can always rely on to do this, to go on this journey. This has been a 51-minute video so far. I think that's all I'm gonna say for this, questions that I've been presented with by my friend. Yeah, I think that will be about it then. Have a think about what I've said, and I'll be interested to hear your response on this. All right, good night.